Hey guys, it's Uncle Dallas. Welcome. It's Sunday session. We're here, we're live, we're ready to see some things happen. If you can join us on YouTube or my other sites, on the other things, please join us and get the information and the destination and the directions and all of the stuff you're going to get. We're going to have a good time today. I have some things that really are going to help you move into a next level. So make sure you got your notes, make sure you got everything that you need, and we can go from there. So let's play something pretty cool. Hey guys, again, it's Uncle Dallas here at the Higher Standards Organization. Today it is Sunday sessions. Welcome. If you are not, if you're new to the station, if you're new to us, welcome. My name is William Dallas. They call me Uncle Dallas, Pastor Dallas, Brother Dallas, or just Dallas. So today I want to talk about something because I've been dealing with a lot of my friends, and some friends you know, some friends you don't know, but I've been dealing with the friends trying to help them get to a new place. And one of the things that I teach this on a consistent basis, and I will always teach this on a consistent basis, is the fact that I never do anything that I have not gone through or am I not going through myself. I don't do that. If I haven't gone through it, I'm not going to try to teach you about it. So today we're going to talk about something, and I apologize, guys. My notes are in my little calendar. Today we're going to talk about how to go to another level, but by breaking up the foundation of the past level. A lot of us, when I did the Q&A, a lot of us were going, "Oh my God, I need to do this. I need to do this," and I'm the same way. I need to go to get to a certain position in my life as well. But I want you to understand something. There's some important aspects of your life. So let me tell you a story. Everybody, let me tell you a story. It happened again. Let me tell you a story. Okay. When I was young, my mother taught me how to pray, but she did not teach me how to pray according to what she learned. She taught me how to pray according to what the religion and the churches had told her to do. So she told me that anytime you needed something, go into your secret closet. And when you go into your closet, you ask God, and once you ask him in the closet, he's going to do it. Now, she didn't tell me, wait on God, trust God, wait, but those kind of things, because she was taught that way. She was taught through our organization, that's how you're supposed to do it. So anytime something would happen to me, I would go pray. The thing that happened that changed my life was the day, because normally I pray just in that part. God love you, God bless my food, God, take care of my mom, God take care of my dad, and all that kind of stuff. And so better. So in this particular time, he's talking to me. I mean, I need something from him. I need his instructions. I need his help. And so I had a baseball glove, and I didn't have the money that all the other kids had. So somebody gave me a baseball glove one time, and they go, "Hey, you want a baseball glove?" I go, "Yeah, it's a nice one with the little finger out." If you had the finger out in the baseball glove, you was the bomb. So, you put your little finger out, you had the finger out in the glove, and you sitting there, you doing your thing. So it was time to play baseball. We're going to walk up to the school field, and we're going to play softball. Because my school was like, maybe, nowadays it's like a million miles for the millennials, but my school we would walk like make 6 or 7 blocks and go to the school. It had basketball courts, and you can do stuff around the school, which was really cool. So we were going to go on the baseball field and play softball. I didn't have a glove. Couldn't find my glove to save my life. No matter what I tried to do, I couldn't find my glove. Now, the way my room was set up, and those of you that can see me, my room was set up this is my room. You go out of my room, straight out the room, like there's a hall, basement, door. So I can stand in my hallway, in my door, and look straight out into the backyard through the back porch. Straight out into the back downstairs basement. So I came, and then if you come out and make a right, where you make a left, there's a wall right here. So it's come out, left wall, go straight, basement, go right, down the hall, there's a bathroom. Not long, just down the hall. And so I would pray, and I'm praying God for my gloves. I'm searching for everywhere. Now, there's a barrel right there. As you go into the hall, if you go into the basement, right there, there's a barrel. So I'm praying and praying and praying, and I go, my mother told me to go into the hall, go into my closet. So now, as I turn around, when you walk back into my bedroom, as I turn around this way, right behind me is my closet. Just go in, turn the closet. So I walk back in the closet, and I walk in the door, and I close the door, and I say, Father, God, Mama told me to tell you when I needed something. I felt like Billy Boucher. Mama said, I said, my mom told me that whenever I need something for you, I said, God, I want to play softball with everybody. I need my glove. And I said, amen. Because I didn't know in the name of Jesus. I just knew that's how we prayed. Ladies and gentlemen, as I walked out of my closet, I remember out of the closet, and I'm automatically in the front of the door. I walked out of my closet, stood in the doorway, and the glove was right there on top of the barrel. Now, from that point on, I grabbed the glove and I left. I didn't think about it. I didn't think about how miraculous it was, because there was no way for you to miss the glove. There was no way for me to miss that glove sitting right there. No way possible. And from that point to this one, whenever I asked God for something, He would take me to the height of it. He would do the best of it. He would do the most miraculous things. He would make the greatest things happen. Now, I didn't understand that until 19 is when I began to really start to teach and travel and preach. I didn't understand that. So 19 came, and when 19 came, I began to reflect, because at that point, 19 was my biggest struggle. Yes, God put it there. 19 was my biggest struggle. And I never understood why 19 was my struggle. 19 was my struggle. I think 32 was my struggle. And then 3 years were my struggles. And I did not understand why they were my struggles. It never made sense to me until one day I'm reading this passage. And the passage that you probably have at the bottom of your flyer, I'm reading this passage. So I pick up the Bible. Now I'm studying the Bible. I travel and I study and I preach. I study it. But I picked up this passage and everything began to make sense. But it did not make sense at the level that I'm going to teach you, because I'm going to take you from where I am to a whole different level. From where I am to a whole different level. And I'm going to show you some things that are going to change how you see your life. And it's going to fix all the places that you may be thinking that you need to go. It says in the 12th verse of the 10th chapter of Hosea. Okay, for those of you, there's the book right behind Daniel. Right before, what else we got? Right before Daniel, right before Amos. If you go to Daniel, the next book after Daniel is Amos. And it says, sow yourself in righteousness, reap mercy, break up the fallow ground, for it is time to seek the Lord till He comes and rains righteousness upon you. Now, here is what we've always thought. The thought process was this. Sow yourself in righteousness. Now, what he's saying there, for those of you that are actually watching, let me see if I can get this pulled up on my trusty computer. Yeah, let me see if we can get this pulled up on my trusty computer. Because I went through and I began to study this. And so if you are on YouTube, you'll see this. So I go to Blue Letter Bible, okay? And you go to Blue Letter Bible, you see this right here. It says, sow yourself in righteousness. And that number right there is 6666. Now, here's what's interesting. If you look right here, you see in righteousness. All right, you see that righteousness right there? This one right here at the top. But you see this number that says 6666, 4 sixes. And if you push that, it says that you sow yourself in justice, sow yourself in righteousness, sow yourself to the judgment, to the rule of God, sow yourself into the attributes of God, the cause of God, the truth of God. It says sow yourself into God. Sow yourself into God. It is saying the structure of God you have to sow yourself into. Sow yourself into the structure of God. Sow yourself to the structure of God. Hosea 10th chapter, 12th verse. Hosea 10 and 12. Sow yourself into the structure of God. Now, here's what's interesting. So he says, now, in all the times of what you've seen, if you've read the Old Testament, in all the times of the Old Testament, you always see God doing things to them to get them in line. You see him killing the fatted lamb. You see God telling them he's teaching them or showing them how to sow themselves into something. Sow yourself in righteousness. Sow yourself into that. You have now been given the power to change everything about your life. So when I came out and I began to see that, I did not understand that the moment that the miraculous was happening was the moment that God was about to change everything about me. So he's saying, sow yourself in righteousness into the structure of God, into the move of God, into the plan of God. Sow yourself. Take your decision and you plant you into it. And you plant you into that. And once you plant you into it, then from that point on, you'll begin to see things that you've never seen before. Make sense? Okay. So it says, sow yourself in righteousness. Now I'm going to pull something up. I want you guys to see this. Sow yourself in righteousness. Okay? Sow yourself in righteousness. Let me get this up here. I'm show this right quick. Now, once you understand that, then from that point on, you can begin to see what God is doing. Okay, got it. Like I said. So it says, sow yourself in righteousness. And what's happening? Most of us right now want to be in a better place. And instead of sowing ourselves, we'll offer ourselves to the position, but we don't really sow ourselves in the position. So what he's saying is sow yourself in righteousness, the structure of God and all those kind of things. Now, why is he saying that? Now, watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Pay attention to what I'm saying here. He says, sow yourself in righteousness, reap mercy. Now, he's saying the process that you're going to take as you sow yourself in righteousness will give you mercy, will give you forgiveness, will release you, will help you. See, God is not walking around trying to figure out what bad things you do and what kind of bad person you are. What is happening to you is your spirit is pushing you into other places because you're accustomed to these places. When it pushes, you stop yourself from moving because they become uncomfortable, because you have such a strong connection to your carnal. I'm going somewhere with this. Let me look at my little notes over here. Yeah, I'm going somewhere with this. So he goes on, then it says, break up the final ground. Break up the final ground. Now let's go look at that. Let's go look at what he means when he says that. He said, break up the final ground. The fallow ground. Break up the fallow ground. Okay? Right there. All right, everybody there, watch that. Let's see it right there. He says, break up the fallow ground. Now, it says this ground right here. That's the word fallow. Fallow ground. Fallow, F-A-L-L-O-W. Break up the fallow ground. Break up the fallow ground. I'm going to share something with you guys probably that you did not know. Break up the fallow ground. So what he's saying, break up the untilled hard ground. Fallow ground at that time was how you break up ground so that you can take it to the next level. How you break up ground, how you can prepare it for seed. So you go in, and back in the day, they would have a pickaxe or they would have a hoe. And what they would do is they would sit there and they would break up the ground, the rocks in the ground and the roots in the ground and everything that was in the ground that would keep you from planting. That'll preach by itself. So they would sit there and they would go out and they would take this hoe and they would take the sharp end of the hoe, would cut into the wood and it would cut the roots. And it would cut enough that it would leave a trench so that you could put seed in it. And so it would change the foundation because this tree that normally went this way, you would cut the roots and it would go in a different way. So now then they would take the pickaxe, and the pickaxe was shaped like a pick, and it was on the back end looked like a hole, on the front end looked like a pick. And it would go in and it would break up the rocky ground because there's a level of rock, especially when you deal with your southern countries, your southern cities, because they have clay and that clay has to be broken up. And they will break up and they will spend time breaking that up. Why? Because if it was not broken up when the seeds go in, and if you go into Matthew, they would go into those different phases. They would not grow, and they would not. So what has happened over the years is you have had fallow ground. You have hard ground in your mind. You have hard ground in your situation. You have hard ground in your circumstances. And so now it's time to break that ground up. But how do you break the ground up? The first step is breaking the ground up is you have to now commit to the destination of the Spirit, not the destination of your promise, the destination of the Spirit. He says, so sow yourself in righteousness. Underline that if you're going to underline that in your Bible. Or mark it in your app. First thing you have to do is sow yourself in righteousness. The first thing you have to do is make a decision. Very simple. Make a decision. I'm dealing with the decision right now. I'm dealing with the decision of where do we take this to this organization? What level do we take the organization to? I'm dealing with the decision of changing everything so that it can be beneficial to more. Right now, if I have 180,000 people follow me on TikTok, 3,000 on Instagram, 500 on LinkedIn, I can go through the whole thing. And there are only 100 people following me. I get beyond the fact of trying to make it an ego thing and start figuring out what is it that I can do to help the world, and stop looking at what I can do to make sure the people that are around me are pacified and stay within their little bubble. Because I'll leave you in the bubble because I love you. Everybody that's a part of the organization, I love you guys. You guys are the best. The key to that is there are some other people that need our help. There's some other people that need my help. So I've got to break up the fallow ground. I've got to break up the things, my fears, the disappointments, the things I think people think, the things I want people to think. I got to break all that up. And I got to sow myself into the God level of this thing. I got to sow myself into the God level of this thing. I have to get beyond the control of the algorithm, the control of the mindset, the control of what people think. I've got to get beyond that. Why? Because the power source that makes those things worth living is the power source of me. You make everything available. You make everything what it is. You make everything what and how it's supposed to be. This pen has no power in and of itself. If you lay this pen down on my hand, it's just a pen. But the moment you put that pen into action, that pen can write contracts, can write names, can change things. This ball has nothing but a creation. It is created. But it does not have purpose until you take the ball. For some of you, you're squeezing the ball because it's a stress ball, same ball. For some of you, you throw the ball to your son or your daughter and they catch it. To some of you, you bounce the ball off the wall. You give purpose to everything. The challenge that has happened is you've lived under things that try to give you purpose. You've lived under things that try to give you purpose. So you stay within the lines, but you have to break up that ground now. The way you break it up, number one, according to this passage, is you have to sow yourself in righteousness. Meaning, figure out the way that your spirit is dictating your movement. Well, I know I have a job. I don't want to lose my job. I know I have friends. I don't want to lose my friends. You have to figure out the way. I've got to figure out, how does God want me to operate in what he has given me? Why? Because we back up when it comes to people that we don't think will accept who we are spiritually. So we talk around it. So we don't want to say, listen, don't smoke cigarettes around me because I'm not a cigarette person. Don't say certain things around me because that's not my mindset. I'm trying to go in a different direction. You have vital ground. That's hard ground to break. What they did to you in your past, that's hard ground to break. Because if you break it, you feel like you don't know what to do, and you feel like, okay, how do I get past this thing? How do I get this whole thing? One of the people that's a part of us, Jasmine said, I know I want I want a food truck, but I thought about this and this and this. See, you cannot typecast yourself to what they said, because they keep telling, all you need is one vision. What's your vision? What's your purpose? Sweetheart, your purpose is to be the greatest person you can possibly be. And within that greatest person, you can be anything you want to be. Learn not to be an owner, learn to be a CEO. Don't try to own stuff, try to control stuff. I just gave you gold mine right there. Don't try to own it, learn to control it. The key becomes, I have to break up that ground. And the ground cannot be broken. Now check it out. Check it out. When a person comes to a field, they don't break up every bit of the ground the same way. Y'all gonna like this. They break up specific ground for specific things. If they're breaking up for cactus, they make sure that it's in a hot place. If they're breaking up for oranges, they make sure that there can be a cold place. Y'all probably didn't know that. Oranges need frost to become better. You follow me? If they're breaking up something that is seaweed, it needs a certain amount of water. Everything, every part of the ground that you're breaking up has a specific purpose. So don't just break it up generally. It means now you need your prayer. You need the prayer thing. So when you say, I want to move into this level, you have to learn how to pray, meditate, praise, worship, and decree. Why? Because you have to know where you're supposed to be breaking up what ground. You follow me? Because what we'll do is we'll just start breaking junk up. He got on my nerves. We'll start breaking junk up. But your breaking, hear me now, your breaking does not happen until you're about to move in that direction. You're not breaking up the ground until it's time to put a seed in the ground. And since it says sow yourself, it means you don't break up ground until it's time to put yourself in the ground. So don't raise and start pulling back junk that happened in your past. Stop talking about how my cousin did it, my husband did it, my past dog did it. Go. See, you're starting to try to break up ground that's in the past. But you have to start realizing that when that stuff starts rising up in your mind, it means that you're about to go. So you got to break that stuff. Every time something comes up that what they did in your past, go, nope, that means nothing to me right now. I break that. I don't even let that thing stay in my mind for 5 or 6 seconds. We adore you. We adore you. Oh God, hallelujah, amen. You do anything to get that thing out of there. Why? Because that ground is trying to keep you from going forward by pulling you back. So you sow yourself in righteousness. He said the structure, the power, the belief, the understanding. So the initial state, number one, is sow yourself into the authority of God. Not the authority of Jesus and the authority of the blood and the authority. You want God himself. I gave an analogy yesterday. I went to an event with a young man by the name of Wayne. I keep wanting to go to Wayne, last name. But I went to he had this wonderful event. They have this wonderful organization. And he was talking to him. I said, I'm going to give you a little analogy. Okay? There is me and there's my son. Okay? My name is William. My son's name is Ross. His name is William, but I'm going to say Ross because I need 2 different names. I said, we have all the money that anybody could ever want in their entire life. So we have a 16-bedroom house. We got Ferraris. We got all the cars. We got Ferraris and Mercedes and Benz. We got a pool. Our house is like a resort. It's right on the beach. So you come over to my house. You, whoever you are. Let's just say you're Ted. Ted comes over to the house. And as Ted comes into the house, I tell Ted that I have given everything unto you. Here is the key. Do whatever you want to do in the house. Go wherever you want to go in the house. Enjoy the house. It's yours. Does it belong to me? Nope, it belongs to me, but you have access to it because you're seated in the right place. So Ted goes in, he looks at the kitchen, it's beautiful, he makes a wonderful dinner in the kitchen, he invites his friends over, they eat in the kitchen. We're cool with that. Ted goes into the room, they leave that room and go into the dining room and they sit there and eat their food. Then they go to the movie room and they watch movies. Ted says, hey, Uncle Dallas, I'm leaving. I said, where you going? We're going to run down to the beach. So they walk out the back door and they go down. There's a beautiful beach and they walk on the beach and they play in the beach and they swim and they scuba and they snorkel. They come back in the house and they said, well, we don't want to eat dinner here. We want to go someplace else. I reach in my pocket and say, here's my gold or black credit card. Go eat what you want. So they take one of the Mercedes and one of the Cadillacs and one of the Bentleys and they go and they sit at one of the best restaurants they possibly could. After that restaurant is done, they say, let's go see a movie. They go see a movie and they come back to the house. And as they come back to the house, the guy is just so overwhelmed by all the things. He goes to sleep and he gets up the next morning and he looks around and he says, oh my God, I am so appreciative of everything you've done, Ross. He looks at my son. He said, thank you, Ross, for everything you've done. Thank you for this beautiful house. Thank you for everything that has taken place in my life. Thank you, Ross, for everything that you've ever done for us. Thank you, Ross. And I'm looking at him going, why are you talking to my son when you never said anything to the father? You spend hours and hours talking to the Son, but you spend no time talking to the Father until you need something. I said, you call on the Son and you talk to the Son and you tell the Son to be the co-driver. Why? Because your mindset is that God doesn't care enough to be there. Your mindset is that he's sitting in heaven because that's how you've been conditioned. But what you have to realize, my dear friend, is that God was there the whole time. And because of his loving kindness, he doesn't say anything because you tell Ross thank you, because he goes, whether they preached to me crazy or whether they didn't, they still said thank you. Well, I know it's Father, Son, Holy Ghost. I got that. And I understand that. But you got to break up the ground to realize that you want to talk to the one that makes the decisions. You want to talk to the manager, the owner, the CEO. See, you've been talking to the secondary person so long that you don't spend time talking to God. So when you come talk to me and I say, you don't have to say in the name of Jesus, you look at me like it's some kind of detriment. You look at me like it's something wrong. Because I'm telling you that you've been screaming at the Son and telling the Son when the Son said, I was here for one purpose, and that was die to give you the keys. Then I gave you the keys, and I no longer have a purpose but to make sure I maintain your connection between the keys. But you never take the time to say thank you to the Father. So now we're breaking up the final ground. He said, don't look at that. I know I just lost a whole lot of you. Don't look at what the Son did, because the Son did it because he was planned to do it. Look at the person that sent the Son. See, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. The Son didn't so love the world that he gave his Son. He spoke into existence something that would give him the power to reach you and access you. So now you break up the final ground. And you're going to only break it up because it's a breaking that takes place according to need. I almost want to go, ah! I know that shook some of y'all. That shook some of y'all. So it says break up the final ground. What's the final ground? Anything that stops you from moving. If you are not in total freedom, meaning that you can walk into every situation of your life and say, I'm going to do that, then you're still walking in freedom. There's still some freedom that needs to take place. If you're not walking in a place where what you have is already in position that you can go grab it and get it, then you still need some freedom. See, we have these little secret things that are happening to our minds and happening to our lives that are stopping us. But I need you to see something here. So he says, break up the final ground. How do we break up the final ground? Know that the Spirit is the dictator of your life. You have to know that. You have to understand that. You have to live that. So check this out. Speak to your atmosphere. The speaking to your atmosphere is the entrance of change. Okay? You want to change, you got to start speaking to your atmosphere. You speak your atmosphere into existence. It is so difficult to teach this to people because we really have no idea the power of our words. We'll say sticks and stones will break our bones, but words will never hurt us. We'll say all these different things, but what we won't do is take on the body and the power and the ability of those words. We won't use those words. Now let's go back to this ball, all right? So we have this ball. This ball has the purpose, and the purpose of this ball is whatever you give this ball to be. This ball can be a paperweight. This ball can be a game. This ball could be a weapon. This ball could be whatever you think this ball can be and whatever you want this ball to be. But here's what's happening. If you do nothing with the ball, the benefit of why this ball was created has no purpose for you. So if you realize that the weapons of your warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God through the pulling down of strongholds, 2 Corinthians, then it means, how do I pull down the stronghold? How do I break up the fallow ground? You speak your atmosphere into existence. A gentleman was talking to me the other day, and we went down to downtown, somewhere in Charlotte, and he was there talking about herbs and different things that make you healthy. And I looked at the young man, and he looked like he was 20. I said, how old? He said, I'm 45. And he said, well, you look 45. And I said, no, I'm closer to that. I'm not 45. I'm a lot older than that. And he goes, what? He said, how do you do that? I said, first of all, I don't acknowledge anything less than what God has told me. Y'all need to write that down. I don't acknowledge anything less than what God told me. Second thing, number one, I don't acknowledge anything less than what God told me. Number two, I speak my atmosphere into existence, period. That's going to break up some vital ground for some of you. That's going to break up some stuff for some of you. Why? Because you have to speak into existence your atmosphere. So every day I speak my atmosphere. He was talking to me. I said, I can do things that most people that are 40 can't do, because I don't allow myself how do I say this? I don't allow myself the benefit of not believing what God can do. I don't allow myself. So I say every morning, I say this every morning. We never run out of money. We can do all things through God, and we live in the overflow. Does it get tight? It gets tight. The reason it gets tight, because remember when I told you in the first story, when stuff is getting tight, there's about to be a change. Now, you can sit there and like, here we go, where's the change coming? Or you can say, I'm going to walk with the change. I'm going to sow myself into the change. I'm not going to sow myself into the past. I'm going to sow myself into the change. So the second thing is, I speak my atmosphere into existence. What I say daily breaks the old foundation and builds the new foundation. That's number three. What I say daily breaks the old foundation and gives the new foundation an opportunity. You follow me? What I say daily. When you start to understand that what you say daily, that's actually number two, but I make it number three because of the first one. What I say daily breaks the old foundation and gives opportunity to the new foundation. If you get up and complain about your back, your body believes you're supposed to have back pain. If you listen. I need you to hear me. I am not denying what you feel. I'm simply telling you, you don't feel it. A pain is not a detriment, it's a warning. It's a yellow light that says, concentrate prayer on this spot. A pain is a warning. A discomfort is a warning. If you are somewhere and you eat something and that thing doesn't taste like it's right, you don't keep eating and say, maybe I was wrong. You take the warning. But hear me now. When you hear the warning, you don't descend to the level of loss, you ascend to the level of gain. When you hear the warning, you don't start getting lost, you begin to start getting power. You don't get weak, you get strong. For example, you feel a headache. You don't feel a headache like, heck, oh my God, no. You go, oh, something's trying to bring me down. Oh, something's trying to stop me. Get off me. Oh, see, and what happens is it gets off of you and you keep doing it. Well, I did. Do it again. Do it again. If you tell your child not to do something, he does it. You don't say, well, I guess he's going to burn his hand. You keep saying, I said stop. Why? Because I said, get off of me. You follow what I'm saying? And you know it's going to get off you to the point that it becomes a foregone conclusion. Till your mind begins to break it for you. Till your mind begins to break it for you. Does that make sense? So number 3 is what you say daily. What are you saying every day? What's your confession every day? What are you talking about every single solitary day? What is it? What do you say? Do you remind yourself of what they did in your past? I was talking to one of the team members and I said something and she said, oh yeah, this is what my dad did to me. But it didn't make a difference what your dad did to you. Not at this moment. Because here's what I want you to understand. Y'all follow me very closely here. What I want you to understand is this. The moment, the very same moment that you acknowledge that you can do better, you open up a whole nother atmosphere. you open up a whole nother atmosphere. See, what some of us have done is we've locked into these mental, carnal, broken places. And what we don't understand is when you ingest it, you can't do anything else but regurgitate it. I used to tell everybody, I'm not going to be like my dad. My daughters, my wife's, her daughter said, I'm not going to be like my mom. But what you do is you regurgitate that stuff, and that becomes your existence. Why? Because the more you speak what they say, the more you invite what they do. The more you speak what they say, the more you invite what they do. Write that down, Jessica. The more you speak what they say, the more you invite what they do. I don't care if you talk about it in a negative manner. But it becomes the consistency. Why? Because number 3 says, what you say daily destroys one foundation and builds a new foundation. So what are you building? Now here's what's crazy about that. Let me take this. He said, you got to break up the vital ground. Here's how deep that thing is. Here's how deep it is. You will hold to that thing until it abuses you to the point that you are slowly deteriorating, but you won't let it go. And the reason you won't let it go, because it becomes your very existence. So you keep thinking that I got to hold on to that 27-year-old child. You keep thinking I got to hold on to that 30-year-old child. What my mama said, what my daddy said, what my friend said. I have to hold on to those old foundations, and they begin to deteriorate you. Why? Because they're not you. They're not you. And because they're not you, you're not able to operate at the level that they offer. They're not you. You've got to break that vital ground up. And see, here's the interesting thing. When you begin to break it, you begin to realize that all you're doing is reliving the abuse that you received by abusing other people. Number 4. Change your foundation system and change your belief system. So here's the foundation system. Let's do this again. So we have this ball. We have this ball. This ball is called a high bounce pinky ball. High bounce pinky. I don't know what a high bounce pinky is. So they made it. They made it very tight and very. It's hard to squeeze. It's hard to. You can't squeeze it. They made it very tight so that and very solid so that when it hits the ground it bounces high. And so the purpose of this ball is to bounce. It's to bounce. And so if you walk around and keep bouncing it and you're bouncing it on the floor, it loses some of its dexterity, but it'll always bounce because the purpose of it is to bounce. Because what you do is you give this thing its identity. You give it its power. So if you leave it in my hand, this doesn't have power, and you'll never understand what it's like because you never utilize it for what it is. See, you've given life to principles, laws, rules, regulations. You've given life to those things because you truly believe that what you think is true, so you've made it your foundation. You truly believe that. I was talking to a friend of mine, and my friend of mine said this, and I don't know if he's here. I hope he's here. My friend of mine said this to me, and I thought about it when he said it to me. He said, I believe, and I'm not going to use what he said. He go, I believe in people being grateful. That's not what he said, but I'm going to use that. I believe in people being grateful. Okay? I believe in people being grateful. So much to the point when you're not grateful, I get mad. When you're not grateful, I get mad. I think that's wrong. I cannot believe that you just let people do stuff for you and you never simply said thank you. You're not grateful. And so what I realized was, in that fact of being grateful, you're so busy trying to expect people to be grateful that you haven't been grateful yourself. So you'll sit there and they'll buy you something and give you something and you never said thank you not one time. Because you're waiting for them to say thank you to you for the things that you've done. You follow me? Why? Because you've now created that monster. So you create this monster, and this monster then all of a sudden becomes you. You become the monster. Because in order for you to get something, the Bible says this clearly. He said, if you want friends, you must first make yourself friendly. Well, every time I did that, it doesn't matter every time. Because here's what is really interesting about your life. The interesting thing about your life, you will help every single solitary child, every single person, you will help them. I have water this time, guys. You will help them. You'll help every single solitary time. Now hear me now, especially ladies. You will date this man, you'll date this man, you'll date this man, you'll date this man. And all four of these men misuse you. They treat you like you're nothing. But then man number 5 is now defined by men number 1 through 4. Man number 5 is defined by men 1 through 4. But the thing you do is you now treat man number 5 the same way man number 1 through 4 treated you. Because you think that your experiences become your foundation. So what other people have done to you, you now hold accountable to probably the one person that would actually treat you the way you're supposed to be treated. Whew, bless me. So you are now, okay, so guy 1 did something. Guy 2 did something. Oh my God, what is this? What is wrong with my throat? I know, everybody's going, drink some water. Mm-hmm. Guy 1 does something to you. Guy 2 does something to you. You go, okay, well, Uncle Dallas, what do I do to make sure I don't mess up with guy number 5? Stop doing the same things you did with the first 4 guys. You follow me? Because what happens to us is we start putting ourselves in positions where we're trying to figure out how it's supposed to happen. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. Guy 1 through 4 does the same thing. Now it's time to stop and pay attention to the next guy, to the next situation, to the next circumstance. Because what happens to us is we find ourselves in a position where we are now not breaking up the foundation of what happened in the past. We're simply covering it with belief. So those 4 men made you feel or believe that men aren't good and you can't find a good man. So you hide. You stop trusting. You stop helping. Or in this case, you stop being grateful. If you want something, you have to break up the thing that is stopping you from getting it. If you want something, you have to break up the thing that's stopping you from getting it. I was shining. If you want something, you have to break up the thing that stops you from getting it. You want friends, then become friendly. It's as simple as that. It's simple as that. Because what you will do is you will take your total friendship from someone that wants to be your friend because you hold them accountable for people that weren't your friend. You will take something from people that want to help you because you begin to treat them like people that didn't want to help you. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. It says, break up the fallow ground, verse 12. It says, break up the fallow ground, verse Hosea 10 and 12. We haven't left yet. He said, break up the fallow ground and break up the fallow ground, you'll reap mercy. Then break up the fallow ground, for it is time to seek the Lord till he rains righteousness upon you. Now, here's what's interesting about that. It said, it's time to seek the Lord until he rains righteousness upon you. It's time to seek the Lord until he rains righteousness upon you. All right? It's time to seek the Lord until he rains righteousness upon you. Now, here's what's interesting. Now, those of you that are on here, I want to show you something. Now, let's go back to the Blue Letter Bible. Okay, first of all, we look at this. All right, number 1, right here, you see this? This is 4H66666. But the other righteousness, which is right here, is H6664. Okay, so now watch this. Watch what's happening. Watch what's happening. This righteousness is a totally different word with one number change. But this righteousness, he's going to show justice on you. He's going to show righteousness on you. It's the right and the normal and the justice. He's going to begin to flow on you the stuff you need to follow where he wants you to be. The first one was attached to it. This one was not only attached to it, this one says, I'm going to pour it on you so you don't have to attach to it. You just walk in it. All you do is walk in it. That's it. Just walk in it and it's all yours. And when you walk in it, you begin to see what God is doing. I had to realize that because I'm watching people. We will hold on to the detrimental friendships. We won't hold on to the friendships that are great friendships. We'll hold on to the people that will draw us down. We'll hold on to the people that will make us frustrated. And we hold on to them because we think we can save them. Well, why can't we save them? Because the first thing you have to do is get into the spirit of the thing. Well, I'm not a praying person. I'm not a fasting person. I don't hear God like that. Nobody on this planet does not have an unction or an impressionable, a spirit in impression. We cover it up with other things that make us feel like we're doing the right things. But we put into our lives structures that don't make us move forward. Everybody that can, I need you to type, I'm breaking up the old ground to leave room to make room for the new ground. I'm breaking up the old ground to make room for new ground. I'm breaking up the old ground to make room for new ground. I'm breaking up the old ground to make room for the new ground. I'm breaking up the old ground to make room for the new ground. I know it sounds crazy, but it says you have to keep seeking this area until he rains it on you, until he releases from the heavens everything you need. It's not going to hurt you to let it go. You want to let it go. You need to let it go. You think about letting it go, but it's not going to hurt you. It can't hurt you. We think that physical and emotional pain are the same thing. They're not. Physical and emotional pain are not the same thing. They feel the same, but they're not the same. They feel the same, but they're not the same. Example. This is my favorite ball. Okay, we just said that I use this ball a lot because I don't have another thing to use. This is my favorite ball. Okay, my favorite ball. I look for it every single solitary day. So one day I get up and my favorite ball is gone. All right, somebody has taken my favorite ball. It is an inanimate object. It is not an object that adds to my life or takes away from my life. So when they take my favorite rubber ball, at that moment I am emotionally hurt. I am not physically hurt. I'm emotionally hurt. And the more I allow that emotional hurt to take root, the more it will begin to manifest in the physical. The more it manifests in the physical, the more it shifts from an emotional pain to an actual physical pain. See, what you have to realize is nothing has actually hurt you. You've just given this thing more power than you should have. Yeah. You've made the loss of that ball more powerful than it should have been. You've made the loss of, and I know this is going to sound, I was talking to somebody the other day, I know this is going to sound so sad, but please hear me. When Jesus is walking and he tells the disciples, he goes, hey, come and follow me and I'll make you fishermen of men. The ones who were on the boat jumped off the boat and followed him. But there was one he called to and said, come with me. He said, I've got to bury my mother and father. He said, let the dead bury the dead. And I said, if I had said that to anybody on this planet, they would go, that's my mama. That's respect. Who told you that going to that mother's funeral or dad's funeral, not that I didn't do the same thing, was a form of respect. Why do you define your level of respect when a person has died? Why? Because there are certain things that are happening in your life right now that you are giving respect to, because that person that is in that casket that you spent $14,000 for, the funeral that you spent $150,000 for, has now given worship and praise to something that is not there. Mom is in heaven. Mom is in the spirit. Dad is in heaven. Dad is in the spirit. Yes, that loss feels real because they have been attached to us for so very long. But my friend, had you taken that same amount of money and simply said, we're going to make this very simple, and those that want to do something can get up and talk about it. We're going to make it very simple, because what my mother would like, what my dad would like, is to take this money and put this money someplace to help her grandchildren go to college one day. I will never forget, I went to Alabama for a friend of mine's grandfather died. The program, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you, the program, I don't even have anything that thin. The program was 1 page long. It was so funny to watch everybody. I needed just a piece of paper. I need a piece of paper. I'll do it this way. It was so funny because everybody was looking at it, and let's say it was folded like this. It was this side and this side. Let me get it full tight. It was this side and this side. It was not two. It wasn't open. It was this side and this side. That's it. It was not open. It was not that. It was, this is what's going to happen. Thank y'all for coming. It was funny trying to see people trying to open it up to be a second page. It was a lesson of all lessons to me. They were trying to open it up to see how many pages. The father, the granddaddy that died, which was a friend of mine's granddaddy, the granddaddy was died, said, don't have me up here all day long and 5,000 people. They said, those of you that want to say something, send it to me, we would choose. That was a 15-minute funeral, and they were black. 15 minutes. No, I'm sorry, 30 minutes in the church. Because 15 minutes church, then 30 minutes church, and then 30. It was an hour. It's probably an hour total to bury him. And then they went home and ate and had fun. There are so many things you have in your life, and you've taken those things, you've made those things realities, and you've made those things your carnal way of being alive when they're really not you. You've just made that. You've made that your life. You've decided this is going to be my life. This is how I'm going to live. And so you've created some hard deals and some hard situations. And people say, well, let me help. No, you can't help me there. Why? You want help. You want to live better. You want change. But you have lived on those things because you're afraid that those foundations that you are part of will never make you what you want to be. Why? Because you've never dealt with you. You've never dealt with you. And then somebody comes to you and I say, okay, I want to help you get out of that. You listen, but you don't change. Why? Because you go right back and say, this is my blanket, and I'm going to hold on to my blanket, and this is this is my blanket. Or you don't let go of it because it takes too much effort to let it go. Everybody that you know wants a better life. Everybody you know needs to break up the final foundation. So when they had the foundation, they said, okay, you need a hoe. And the hoe breaks up the roots of things you're connected to. So the first thing you need is something that breaks up the roots. So it breaks up the roots of the things that you're connected to. Breaks those roots up. That's the first thing. So you need to break up the roots, the things that are grounded into your life, that are putting you in a position that you can't move because they've rooted you to that situation. Then they take a pick, and what the pick does is break the really hard stuff off. Roots are not hard, but it takes the pick, and the pick is at a point, and it breaks up the point of rocks by putting pressure in one place that causes the other things to break. So it puts a solid pin pressure, specific pressure that causes the rock to lose its dexterity and lose its connection. Some things you're going to have to break the dexterity and the connection of those things. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. And some of the things you pay attention to, if, for example, what is it going to hurt to be that person's friend? What's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen. You have it in your capabilities to be that person's friend, but you make excuses for that friend, and you make excuses because you don't want to be hurt. You make excuses because you want people to be your friend. You want people to fill the open spots that you have in your life, and what you simply give them is what you want to give them, and what you want to give them, they've got to appreciate it at the level that you gave it. It has nothing to do with them. When I met my wife, I told her, I said, I was a preacher for years, and I gave her CD. Matter of fact, I think I gave her this exact CD right here. Where's my CD? I gave her this exact CD right here. Where is it? I have a CD. Yeah. Oh, I gave her a CD of me preaching. Yeah, I got that CD. Where is that CD? Oh, here it is. I gave her this exact CD. I gave her this CD to hear me preach. My wife, to this day, has not listened to that whole CD. You know why? Because we want people to appreciate what we think they should appreciate instead of giving them what they would appreciate you for. We want to give people what we think they should be appreciative for. I mean, we want to give people what they think they should appreciate, what we think they should appreciate, instead of giving them what they would be appreciative for. We give you a pain for a headache, but you have a backache. And we never allow that to happen. We never allow people to say, well, what do you really want from me? We never sit down and say, what do you need from me? We just walk away. I'm fine. Why? You haven't broken up the final ground yet. Some of you are sitting in the midst of this thing, and you are so afraid to move because that's the problem that's happened in your life, that you will sit in positions and not move, and nothing will happen and nothing will change because you're so afraid that the way it broke 5 years ago, it'll break again. The reason we do the mentoring course, the reason we're doing the things that we're going to do is so that you can be connected to more than one. You will stay on the outside looking in because you feel like you're this type of person, instead of getting in there and starting to call people and say, hey, how you doing? I have people that don't call me because I'm Pastor Dallas. Then I got people, what's up, Dallas? What's going on? See, you're standing on the outside looking in because you don't want to call up somebody that you think is less than you. Why? Because we've been taught in ministry and taught in life that we don't talk to people less than us. And then you talk to somebody that looks like they're less than you, but they're not. I talk to my team every day. Every day. Now, is my team less than me or more than me? Who cares? The goal is connect with people that'll take you to the next level. That's it. Be willing to ask for help. Be willing to trust. Be willing to do the things that you wouldn't have done before. And when you learn that, you'll learn that some of you have limited yourself. It was never your pastor or your friends. You limited yourself because the person that came in there that really wanted to care for you, really wanted to be your friend, you denied them the thing that made you not want them to be your friend. I come to you and I say, hey, I need you to help me put my tire on my car. Me tire on my car. And you, last time I did that, I almost got hit by a car. So that means the person that really cares about you, that really wants to be in your life, they don't get that benefit of you being in their lives because of what happened to them, what happened to you in the past. You'll need to break up the fallow ground because you're becoming what you don't want anybody to treat you as. You're becoming that person. Number 5, what you did in the carnal got you this far, but what you do in the spirit will take you further than you've ever been before. What you did in the carnal got you this far, but what you do in the spirit will get you further than you've ever been before. And I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, if you were so far, can you imagine what would happen if you did it in the spirit? If you were this far, Can you imagine what will happen if you did it in the spirit? If your ability to have a doctor's degree got you this far, imagine where you go in the spirit. Your carnal mindset got you where you are right now. But you shift that to the spirit, and your world becomes unlimited. You shift that to the spirit, and the world becomes unlimited. So let me make that make sense. If you're not praying on a daily basis, you need to be. If you're not working on those areas that you know that will get you to where you need to be, you need to be. If you're not sowing yourself into righteousness, you need to be. Stop letting the past define you. Do something that will make your past realize that that's not you anymore. I had a friend of mine said, every time, what happens when my brain comes to that place? And I said, you begin to bombard your brain with praise and positive, and bombard your brain with a promise. I don't accept pain. If my ankles hurt, stop. Right now, stop. If my knees hurt, I pay attention to my external so that I can speak to it. I don't pay attention to it. I can remind myself, girl, my back is hurting me so bad. No, I'm speaking to my back every day. It's going to hurt today, every day. When it starts hurting tomorrow, stop every day. I'm going to speak to it till my response becomes what makes it stop. The enemy's going to be like, I'm not going to keep. Every time I touch that back, that person's back, they begin to tell God, thank you. I'm going to leave that person's back alone. I'm not touching their finances. Why? Every time something happens in their finances, they begin to say, thank you, God. I'm not touching them finances no more. Make it a pain. Break that vital ground up. Make it a pain to affect you. You may not win the fight, but make sure they've been in the fight. All right? All right? Okay. All right. All right. So I just got this question, and I'm going to do this. This will be probably the last time. We're about to change some things. So on my Tuesday meeting, we'll explain it. We'll explain it on the Tuesday meeting. All right? Now, those of you, I got a question today. I don't really do this on the Sunday session, but I am sitting here, so I can't do it on Sunday session. I don't have a problem. Now, how many of you want, now really guys, I cannot stay long. I say it, I cannot stay long. How many of you want a question and answer session? If you want to be a part of the question and answer, I can. Because like I said, I don't leave, these teachings are teachings I hold up here so that those people that are watching can get a teaching. I appreciate everybody that came. I appreciate everybody that joined us. I appreciate you for being a part of us. So the key becomes, what you have to realize is you have the power to break the vital ground up. God will rain everything down on you that you need. You just have to break it up. All right? If you are not a part of our organization, make sure you share, like, follow, subscribe. We do teachings all the time. We're about to go on a whole nother teaching. We're going to start doing a 30-day challenge, and that 30-day challenge will put us in a position where you go from where you are to where God wants you to be. And it is a 30-day challenge. It has a book. It has a calendar. It has teachings. It has a whole bunch of things, and those things will help us to get to where we need to get to. So if that is you, make sure you contact. I think one of the things down on my link, it has all the things that we need: the email address, the phone number, and all those kind of things. So if that's what you want, become a part of us and become a part of our organization. Now, okay, so I see 3 people saying yes to the Q&A. Now, what the Q&A is we basically go on Google Meets and we answer questions. We talk about, and it's kind of an extra teaching because I try to keep this within an hour. If you want to be a part of that, if you want to be a part of the Q&A, I need you. Let me make sure it's down here. I need you at the bottom, down the bottom. Oh, it's not on here. Good Lord. Oh, and for those of you, today is my only day that I say give something. We got Cash App. We got down here. We got Cash App, Venmo. Yeah. Cash App. We just get Cash App down here. Cash App. Yeah. Whatever. Give today. Give today. All right. I got 4 people, 5 people. All right. These are basically the same people that say the same thing. If you want to be a part of the Q&A, the Q&A will be on Google Meets. It will be and I say that all the time, but I mean it today because I got to wake Mrs. Dallas up. The Q&A. Those of you that know those of you that know my email address, send a link to my email address and say you want to be there. If you do not know my email address, say something and I will let you know because I think it's down here. It's not. Of all the things that's down here, my email address is not down here. How interesting. How interesting. How interesting. Now, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that want to be a part of the Q&A. Tawana wants to be a part of everything because she wants to look at a little bit of everything. So if you are on Instagram and you want to be a part of the Q&A, let me know. If you're on, TikTok. If you're on Instagram, you want to be a part of the Q&A, let me know right now because I'm about to get out of here. All right? Okay. Everybody that doesn't, if you know my email, now, Gina, do I have your email address? You know what, I'm doing this right now. I'm doing this right now. Okay, everybody here, all these people, you know my email address. Send me your email. Everybody, you know my email address. Send my email. There it is. It's down at the bottom. Go to highertalk@gmail.com and say I want to be, because that's how we send you the link. So go to highertalk@gmail.com. Yep, and say I want to be a part of the link. I'll send you the link. If you do not send that, I won't know that you want to be a part of it. So go to highertalk@gmail.com. That's it right there. That's it right there. At gmail.com. It's pinned at the top. Yeah, it's at the top. You see it right there. highertalk@gmail.com. So if you want to be a part of the Q&A, go to highertalk@gmail.com and I will send you a link. All right? Okay, now I've said it. I can't do it anymore. I'm about to go. So those of you that are on YouTube, everybody, that link right there above, look in the chat, go say I want to be a part of it, and I'll send you the link. All right? I love you guys. I thank God for you. I appreciate you all. And those of you that have just joined us, or those who want to be a part of us, stay close, stay around us, and we'll be there. All right? I love you very much. My name is Uncle Dallas. This is a Sunday session, a part of the Higher Standards Organization.